Hey class, this is the Americas Vocabulary. In this PowerPoint, you're going to see all the terms within the chapters, but your worksheet doesn't have all the terms. So if you come across a term that's not on your paper, just listen. You might hear it again as we continue with our study of these civilizations. So we'll start with chapter 23, the Maya. Mesoamerica. Middle America, the region extending from modern-day Mexico through Central America. Remember, you guys have to write either a sentence or redefine the word in your own words. So if you're going to do that, one hint I have is to reread my definition and then take a word that I give you and put a synonym in for it. So for example, America, Middle America, the region extending from. So instead of saying region, you can say the area. So Middle America, the area extending from, and instead of saying modern day, another way to say modern day is present. So Middle America, the region, the area extending from present day Mexico through Central America. There you go. I've done your first definition for you. Mesoamerica sentence from the book. Mayan culture spread over much of Mesoamerica, including part of present-day southern Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador. So, present-day southern Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador. It's kind of weird to go back and forth between English and Spanish, so I'm going to stick to English. Hieroglyphic. Writing that uses pictures as symbols. Steels usually had three-dimensional carvings of gods and rulers. Sometimes the Maya inscribed them with dates and hieroglyphics in honor of significant events. A stele is that slab of rock that you saw in the previous picture. Ritual. Again, I apologize. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, I'm not sick anymore. A ritual is a set of actions that is always performed the same way as part of a religious ceremony. So a ritual is something that is done over and over again, the same exact way. Peasant families worked hard, but ceremonies and rituals provided a break from work and a chance to honor important events. The part where it says rituals provided a break, this is something I think we get from culturally, Latinos get culturally from the ancient cultures, this idea of taking a break, stopping, celebrating, whether it be parties, festivals, ceremonies, anything like that, taking a break to have some sort of celebration. I think that's something that is important in Latino culture right now, and it was something that was important to all Mayas, Incas, and Aztecs. Slash and burn agriculture. Again, this isn't in your notes, but listen to it because it'll come out again in our learning. A farming technique in which vegetation is cut away and burned to clear land for growing crops. The Maya used slash and burn agriculture. First, they cleared the land by cutting and burning plants and trees. Then they planted their crops. So, if you look back at the picture, it's this farming technique where underneath all these trees, you would usually have, whatever falls through, smaller plants. All those things would get burned out or burned off. And then later on, it would be perfect for growing new crops. If this was in some sort of forest, the big, large trees would still stay there because it's a controlled burn, but everything else would be cleared away. The Aztecs. Mercenaries. Professional soldiers hired to serve in a foreign army. But the Aztecs were fierce warriors, and the city-states were willing to employ them as mercenaries. Okay, when the Aztecs first came to the present area of where the Aztecs civilization was founded, they weren't the first. The people that were there before were called the Toltec, and they hired the Aztecs to be part of their armies, and they paid them. So since they were paid, they were considered mercenaries. Next word, plaza, public square or other open area in a city where people can gather. We still use the term plaza today. At the center of the city lay a large ceremonial plaza. Here the Aztecs gathered for religious rituals, feasts, and festivals. Causeway, a raised road built across water or low ground. So in the picture, you can see the causeway right here. 3 causeways linked the island to the mainland. This is referring to the Aztec city. They all had wooden bridges that could be raised to let boats through or to protect the city in an enemy attack. A dike is a wall or dam built to hold back water and prevent flooding. A dike 10 miles long ran across the east side of the city to hold back floodwaters. Again, this having a dike and a causeway really shows that the Aztecs, all Aztecs, Incas, and Mayas were pretty marvelous engineers, knowing what was important for their civilizations. Daily life in Tenochtitlan. Semi-divine. More than human, but not fully a god. Aztec ruler or emperor was considered semi-divine or half-god. Next term, hereditary. Passed on from parent to child. Inherited. The position of ruler was not hereditary. When an emperor died, his son did not automatically become ruler. Instead, a group of advisors chose the new ruler from the emperor's family. This is really different from some of the other societies we've learned about. We know that in Europe, the next king was the son of the current king, and in Africa, the next ruler would have been the current king's sister's son. So although it didn't come straight down from the current ruler, there was a very specific path that it took, whereas in Aztec civilization it wasn't like that. The ruler was chosen from within the family. A ward, a neighborhood that is a political unit within a city. Most commoners worked as farmers, fishers, laborers, and servants. Instead of owning land, they were loaned plots of lands for homes and farmed by their kapuli, or ward. Dowry, a gift of money or goods presented to a man or woman upon marriage. Marriages were arranged by the families of the bride and groom. The bride's family usually accepted the union and set the dowry. So they set whatever they wanted to be compensated with, whatever they wanted to be given or paid. This idea of a dowry, I know we've heard of in Middle Eastern cultures, but this also happened in Mesoamerica. It also shows that we, as a world, culturally, we're not as different as we think. We have a lot of similarities. Next is the Incas, and Ailu, an Inca clan or a group of related families. So an Ailu is basically a family. Families in the Inca Empire belonged to larger clans called Ailus. Everyone was born into an Ailu, and most people lived their entire lives within the borders of its land. Communal, shared by a community or group. People of an Ailu then worked this communal land cooperatively to grow crops and produce goods. So families worked on shared land together to produce basically everything they needed. We use this term communal property a lot now, right? Anything that really belongs to a community, that belongs to a group of people, is usually communal. Divination, the art of telling the future or finding hidden knowledge through religious means. Priest practices divination to try to predict the future. Divination helped the Incas decide what course of action to take. So again, priests were the people you would go to for help. The priests were the ones who were supposed to be able to interact with the gods, because these cultures were very polytheistic, believing in many gods. Also, they had oracles, so a person through whom a god or spirit believed to speak. A priest might ask an oracle when the army should attack another tribe because God spoke to the priest through the oracle. Achievements of the Mayas, Aztecs, and Incas. The steles, or steles, a stone slab or pillar with carvings or inscriptions. You would see these stone slabs usually in front of places. The Maya also constructed upright stone slabs called steles, which they often placed in front of temples. A glyph, a symbol or character in a hieroglyphic system of writing. Maya created hundreds of glyphs. They often wrote about rulers, history, myths, gods, and astronomy. A dialect, a regional variety of a language. So the picture here shows the United States. Notice people in California speak very differently than people in New York. Sometimes dialects are almost like completely different languages. Not all Mayan groups shared the same language. Instead, they spoke related dialects. So they could probably understand each other, but the words were a lot different. They would use different words or terms. Okay, lastly is a pictograph, a written symbol that represents an idea or object. The Aztecs did not have enough pictographs and glyphs to express everything that could be spoken in their language. Instead, scribes used writing to list data or to outline events. So they wouldn't actually write a full story. The pictograph was mainly used to spark memory, somebody's memory about a story, but it wasn't like a word-for-word story. And the Aztecs' native language would be Nahuatl, and you guys are going to watch a video on a Nahuatl language next. So make sure you are finishing writing in your sentences or the definitions in your own words. Scan that QR code next to watch the video on some of the Nahuatl terms, and then you should be done. Fill in the last page, which should be I think it's a crossword for your vocabulary terms, and don't forget to get your stamps. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.